This is Chelsea Wrathchild from Demiaura, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Yeah, it's like I'm in Virginia and it's the same way. Some of it's open, some of it's not. But I have been to a couple shows and that's been kind of cool.
That's nice. Yeah. God, I haven't been to a show in so long. I'm like, I don't even remember what it feels like.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half or something. I was like, holy cow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It was nice just to be in that environment, even for however long I'm going to grasp onto it.
Right. You just hold on to it as long as you can.
So tell me, how did the Pavement deal come about?
Yeah. So that was, we do a little bit of it to our friends and Images of Eden. You may have talked to those guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep, Steve and Gordon, all those cool guys. So yeah, they're
talked to Gordon, right?
Yep, exactly. So they're good friends of ours. Steve has known Demiaura for a long, long time. A couple of the members for almost 30 years. So
oh wow,
yeah, he's kind of a personal friend of the band, and so he actually helped us out because they got signed first. Images of Eden got signed first with Pavement, and then we started shopping around and we started saying, okay, we've got the music video ready, we've got the album, pretty much ready without being mixed and all. That's the demo. Right. So let's see what we can do. So he's like, why don't you guys hit up Pavement? I'll put in a good word for you guys and, kind of see where it goes. Obviously the music has to do the talking at the end of the day, but Pavement really liked us. So that was probably March of 2019. So it's a little ways back at this point. But yeah, and then that whole time, it was like COVID happened. So we kind of lost some time in that. And then we mixed the album, and yeah, it's been kind of it's been a whirlwind, but a slow whirlwind. It's kind of strange.
Was it difficult to sit on the record if it was that long? I mean, recorded that long ago and you had to sit through the pandemic and all that nonsense?
Yeah, it was difficult. And we had to actually mix it twice. So the engineer that we had at first was a guy in Phoenix, didn't work out. And so we actually had to go through the process all over again and find somebody all over again. And that was earlier this year. It was about January. We found a guy who actually did mix the album eventually, Brad Cox, great dude. And yeah, very easy to work with. He was in Atlanta, so we just kind of bounce files back and forth to each other. And yeah, it was cool. I was really glad the way that it turned out. I thought it was better than what the previous engineer had, and I'm proud of it.
That's great. And the good thing is, I guess, in that situation, you had the time to do it because nobody was doing anything, right?
Yeah, and we kind of hit it when people were starting to come back, and so our engineer was really busy. He had like 5 other projects going on and stuff because everybody that had been, holding tight for the past year, were finally like, oh God, we're ready to get back. And so he just got hit with like a million bands at once. It's kind of funny.
So what did you guys do with your downtime then, with your off time, I guess, since you couldn't tour and there was no record out?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up moving out of Phoenix, so I kind of just had to get out of the city a little bit. It's so hot in Phoenix. And so really the guys just kind of did their own thing. And, there wasn't really a whole lot of writing or anything like that. We were just so focused on getting the album done just because it had been so long. And we're like, you know what, we don't even want to think about anything else. We don't want to do any shows. There's no shows going on anyway. We might as well just really be full bore on this project. So we just did that.
Was it tough not to get out and play live? Because whole experience, right?
Yeah, it's really difficult. It has been definitely a hard year and a half in every way possible for pretty much everyone across the globe. But yeah, for musicians, it's tough. It's very tough because we obviously want to be on the stage and we want to get out there, and it's part of what makes us breathe. You know what I mean?
It's the DNA, right?
It's our thing. Yeah, it's what we want. We crave it just as much as we crave oxygen, and so it's very difficult to just be sitting and waiting and then sitting and waiting. Just when you thought it was okay to go out again, now we're sitting and waiting again, and it's just like, my God, make it end.
Right, you can't even make plans or do anything for down the road because nobody has any idea.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. Well said.
When you're writing a Demiaura album or song, are you writing the song like for the song's sake, or are you writing more like how it's going to come across or connect with the listener on stage?
That's an interesting question because I think with a small history of the band, so these guys were an instrumental band before I joined. They were instrumental for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And I think in some ways you can kind of tell because there's like a lot of, long spaces between, the vocal lines. And
right.
Like that. And it's prog, that's just kind of how it is with prog.
Right.
But when I joined, I really, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here.
No.
I really wanted to give, somebody the listener something to hook onto and just kind of have that more of a focal point instead of just these kind of soundscapes of stuff going on for a really long time in different, varying parts and stuff like that. So for me, I try to bring that element of how is this going to come across? Because I do write all the lyrics for all the songs, and then of course the melodies and everything like that. So I'm really trying to give that listener something to remember the song by and be like, oh yeah, okay, I recognize this chorus, and try to make it at least a little catchy, so there's like a common theme going on, and it's not just proggy chaos.
Right. It's difficult in that genre for sure. And but is there something, and maybe this doesn't apply to this sort of genre, but is there something you want your fans to walk away from, or an idea after listening to the Demiaura album, or seeing you live, or any of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's nothing in particular. Prog is a different beast. It's a very different beast, and some people are really into it, like, oh my god, into it, and some people just can't connect with it.
Right.
And I guess at the end of the day, I'd like to strike that balance between this is different, I don't know what this is, and it's kind of interesting, I'm not really used to this, and there's a lot of different parts kind of going on, and there's a lot of stops, starts, and just a lot of variation in the songs. It's not just a common verse, chorus. I mean, half the time I don't even know what the hell I'm singing. I'm like, is this a bridge? Is this chorus too? Like, I don't know. I just sing what I hear in my head. So I guess at the end of the day, I just want to try to strike that balance, and maybe try to get somebody who's not really into prog be like, oh, okay, this is a little different. It's not kind of your average metal band going on with a chick singer. It's
sort of bridging the gap
flavor. Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Interesting. So I'm guessing with this kind of music, then lyrics are not coming first, right? Where they're writing the music and tossing it onto you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how it ended up becoming that way. So at first I had some lyrics that were already done from just previous band that I never used, or just kind of on my own, doing my own thing. And with this band, it was just so difficult to take an existing format of a typical verse, chorus, bridge, and put that onto the Demiaura music. Because I was like, I don't even know, there's like 4 bars of something here. I could probably do something. It's not enough time to have a full thing going on. So yeah, I really had to end up waiting for those guys to kind of figure out their stuff. And then I kind of came in afterwards, and I'd throw it up into Pro Tools, because I'm an audio engineer, so I have my degree in that.
Nice.
So I would throw it in Pro Tools and just kind of plunk around on my keyboard and just kind of, hum some things and be like, okay, what am I hearing here? I'm hearing a couple words of this. Let's go with that. And yeah, it just ended up that way. It's not how I used to write, but I kind of had to, just out of necessity.
Right. So most of the writing that was taken advantage of using technology as opposed to being in a room then? Because I think this music lends itself to that, right?
Right, it does, yeah, because there's a lot of layering going on. There's a lot of guitar tracks going on. I have maybe 3 vocals at any given time. It's just one main vocal and 2 harmonies. But yeah, it was definitely, and it was all recorded in our guitarist. He has his own studio at his house, and we used to practice there and everything like that too. So we recorded it all there, and yeah, everything was overdubbed. Everything was done just very sequentially in a very controlled environment, because we didn't really have the capability of the microphones or the setup to be able to do everything all at once. It would just be, there'd be so much mic bleed, it would be a disaster.
But I feel like that gives even more of the vibe of the prog vibe to it, right? Everything is so well controlled and so well executed. And so as opposed to, like dirty rock and roll or something.
Yeah, and you can really hear it in, our music for sure. Even live, a lot of the stuff that you hear of the hard stops and starts and the hairpin turns.
Precise, right.
Yeah, they're very precise, and they pull it off live. And that always it still takes me by surprise when I hear it, because it's just all so like surgical precision, and I'm speaking about those guys. When I'm speaking about myself, it's like, it takes me by surprise, and it impresses me even to this day. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, we have a lot of perfectionists in the band. I think almost everybody is to a certain degree. And I think that kind of comes across in the album.
Have you done many live shows with this band here?
Yeah, we've done a few. I mean, we've opened up for Queensryche, Fates Warning, Doro, Metal Church, Tony McAlpine.
Okay.
Yeah, we've definitely done some shows.
So what's it like? Is it hard to? That's the right crowds. The bands you're naming are totally the right crowds. But what's it like translating that technical stuff on stage? Not only is it super nerve-wracking, and is it stressful because you really got to be paying attention as opposed to, or you got to straddle the balance between paying attention and playing with the crowd, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And luckily for me, you know, as a singer, I have enough space to kind of get myself together, you know, before the music starts. It's not like there's anything where I start right away and I kind of have to be on it. So I've got some time to think, but the drummer doesn't, the guitar player doesn't, you know, the keyboard player doesn't. Those guys have to be on it. So yeah, I mean, for those guys, I think it's probably a bit more nerve-wracking than it is for me, but you know, we always play to a click. My drummer always has pre-programmed clicks that go through, I think, Digital Performer. So everything is tempo mapped. So everything, luckily, once you hit go space bar, you know, it all really falls into place really nicely. Now, you're also taking into account the house mix and the monitor mix and stuff too. And you're praying to God that, you know, the engineer is picking up on all these things and, you know, mixing you well, and you can't tell. You just, you know, you count on other people to tell you if it sounded good or not. So.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of a difficult thing, because if you're not traveling with your own guy, especially with that sort of music, it's not two Marshalls and a 57.
Yep. Yeah. It's a very, like you said, a very controlled environment.
Right.
And, you know,
so that would be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was one of our first shows we ever did. I think it was maybe even been our first show that we did. There was like a big fest of bands, and it was all indoor, but they had two stages going on. Like one band would be doing one set, another band would be doing another set in the off time. And the place actually lost power because everybody was, you know, just weighing on that power grid so much. And so we lost our click and everything. And the poor drummer was like, we must have played the chorus through like 5 or 6 times. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep going. But we eventually ended the song because it was like, dude, okay, I don't think this is how it's supposed to go. We pulled it off and nobody was the wiser. So I'm like, whew.
That's funny.
I know, it's hilarious.
What do you have planned then after this? I know you've got Between Two Fires. Is there another single? Are you going to take that single route? Sorry, or are you guys going to release a record?
Good question. So yeah, we're a little bit kind of reforming and retooling right now, just figuring out what the heck we're going to do. You know, with the pandemic and all that stuff, and me being kind of far away, it changes things a little bit. We might have to be a little more remote and kind of doing things and sending stuff back and forth to each other, which is cool because during the pandemic, all the guys taught themselves how to use a digital audio workstation. So Logic, Digital Performer, all that stuff. So now they're all set up to be able to record at home, which is really nice. So I think that's kind of on the horizon, just trying to do a little more stuff at home and remotely, and then kind of collaborate that way. But yeah, we're just kind of, like you said, just kind of waiting to see what the heck happens with, you know, the pandemic and shows and all of that, and just kind of keeping it low, I guess.
Any plans for like a live stream or anything like that?
Not at the moment. We are hoping to do like a lyric video soon. We have one of our friends working on it, so want to get that out. We definitely want to stay at the forefront of people's minds and not fall too much into the shadows, because you know, people forget about you. They have short attention spans. It's the state of how it goes now.
Are you guys, so getting back to the previous question, you're going to do this thing, you're going to stick with that single model like every month or 6 weeks or whatever it is, as opposed to a full length?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we're probably just going to go for a full length and just do it all over again. Yeah, that's I don't know about just releasing 1 or 2 songs. I mean, we like the old school format, just doing the full album.
Myself included, but
yeah.
I just think the music business is sort of evolving, and I'm just curious to see where everybody ends up.
Yeah, and that, you know, that does bring up a good point. I mean, maybe we should just go the more modern route and just kind of do what a lot of the other bands are doing.
I was by no means trying to give you any advice.
No, I appreciate it. It's good because it's like, you know, we're all kind of on the old school side, and you know,
I am too. I want the full thing, and then and then we're at this. But I know, talking to people and being involved in the, you know, in the business some way, it seems to be what people are doing. Like even Machine Head. They've gone from doing the albums. They're just doing like a single every 6 weeks. And then I think they're going to collect them at the end and put them into one album. But I still would like, you know, the release date with everything.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
Because like you said, people have zero attention span. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like albums are like a story, and you got the art, and you got the, you know, the pictures and all that stuff, and you've got the songs in this continuity kind of format, and you kind of understand the common theme. But when it's these little bite-sized pieces, it's just these little short stories, and it's like, cool, what does this add up to? You know, it's I love singles just as much as the next person, but I love that full story where you can pick and choose, you know, for your favorite songs and stuff like that. So it's,
and listen to it the way it was supposed to be, the way you guys sequenced it or whatever. There's an art in that as well.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. The end of one song goes into the beginning of the next.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I used to do that as a little kid. Like I'd get the Memorex tapes and be like,
Right.
okay, I love the end of this song and I love the beginning of that song. Holy crap. That sounds really cool.
Yep.
Let's go for it.
So I think kids like my son's age, they're missing it all because they want, one single and let's move on.
Yeah. I know it's sad, but what are we going to do? We're just going to have to carry the torch somehow.
Right. So do you guys have other material written already since you had this time off? Said you've been bouncing around. So you got another album's worth of stuff?
I wish. No, we're just going to have to start from scratch and just kind of see, what we can come up with. Like I said, we spent this whole time pretty much working on the album and having to mix it twice. That took up a lot of time. And we're just going to start from scratch and kind of see where it goes. And then we're hoping to kind of retool things a little bit with the songwriting process, maybe not make such long songs that it's possible and, maybe have a little more space for vocals to come in and stuff like that, just kind of maybe just slightly simplify it just a touch. And maybe it made it a little more accessible, not quite. So, hey, we used to be an instrumental band and you can really hear that.
Right.
Or like, hey, we, have a singer now. We're going to kind of, form it, in a more appropriate way for singers.
Right. And and the way people are used to hearing things or taking in verse, chorus, verse kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're cool with pushing the status quo and trying to get over that.
Right.
But there's also like a point where you kind of have to have a slight familiarity so people can, attach to it and understand it a little bit better. Because prog can lose people. It's like, it's like the rocket science of the metal world. It's like,
I think you're right. But earlier you said you either get it or you don't. And I think that's the way it falls.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we try to bridge that gap, like you said earlier.
Right. That brings me to the end of my list. Do you have anything I missed besides I want you to tell us about your socials and where people can find you?
Sure. Yeah. I don't have anything that I had any particular questions or wanted to bring up or anything. Just if you would like our CDs, we are on Spotify, we're on Amazon, we're on iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, and then you can also go to demiaura.com. So it's DEMIAURA.com. You can get our CDs there as well. If you're old school like you and I are,
right.
and you want a CD. I would say just also, we're also on Instagram and on Facebook. I think it's just /Demiaura and /Demiaura Music for Instagram. So just stay there. And, we try to update our stuff as much as we can with, interviews like this and try to keep up with everything going on at the moment.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I hope that wasn't too bad. I know we kind of got off topic a little bit, but we ended up just going wherever.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I had a good time. So
awesome. Thank you. You have a great day.
Yes. Thanks,
well.
Bruce. You too. Take care. Bye.